Look at this face. In the 1960s, Paul Newman was the absolute pinnacle of Hollywood royalty, a global sex symbol with piercing blue eyes who seemed destined to coast on his looks forever. But his artifacts tell a completely different story. In 2017, his personal stainless steel racing chronograph went to auction and hammered for $17.5 million. Walk down the aisle of any American grocery store and you'll find his face on bottles of salad dressing and jars of pasta sauce, a retail empire that has quietly generated over $500 million for charity. Most actors who reach that level of fame build a fortress. They insulate themselves in mansions and controlled studio lots to protect a highly profitable public image. Newman rejected that safety. Growing up in Ohio, he was acutely aware of his half-Jewish heritage. He was excluded from high school fraternities and carried a deep sense of otherness that made him intensely uncomfortable with superficial acceptance. That perspective crystallized during World War II. Serving as a Navy radio man, Newman was grounded with an earache right before his squadron flew out to the aircraft carrier USS Bunker Hill. Days later, a kamikaze strike, a deliberate suicidal crash, hit the carrier and killed his entire unit. He survived by sheer luck, and he carried the weight of that survival into a culture obsessed with his physical appearance. How does a man marked by early trauma and trapped by global superstardom break out to build legitimate mastery in the real world? When Newman arrived in Hollywood, studio executives immediately asked him to change his last name to hide his Jewish roots. He refused, keeping Newman and daring the industry to accept him on his own terms. He also rejected the standard path of playing easy leading men. Instead, he embedded himself at the actor's studio under Lee Strasberg. The method is an intense psychological technique where performers draw directly on their own lived experiences and traumas to generate highly realistic, emotional performances. This timeline maps the trajectory of his career. You can see how he strategically hunted for gritty, morally complex anti-heroes, driving the narrative intensity up with performances in films like The Hustler, HUD, and Cool Hand Luke. That relentless dedication to his craft yielded quantifiable results. The timeline eventually stretches across 5 decades, punctuated by 10 Academy Award acting nominations and a definitive Best Actor win. But acting is ultimately subjective. Earning the respect of critics and peers on a highly controlled movie set still left a void. Newman needed an arena where his celebrity status offered absolutely zero protection. At age 43, a point when most professional athletes have already retired, he found that arena in high-speed auto racing. He didn't want special treatment. He quietly entered events under a pseudonym to avoid the Hollywood circus. In a race car, a stopwatch does not care how many tickets your last movie sold. Here is the layout of the Circuit de la Sarthe, home to the grueling 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race. In 1979, driving against seasoned professionals, Newman navigated this exact track to secure a class win and finish second overall. He maintained that elite level of competition for decades. At age 70, he competed here at the Daytona International Speedway, becoming the oldest driver to ever win his class in a major sanctioned endurance race. On the track, you either hit the apex or you hit the wall. A fraction of a second could not be bought or charmed. It was the ultimate test of objective truth. As he conquered his own need for objective validation, Newman began pointing his massive cultural influence outward, stepping directly into high-risk political activism. He didn't sign petitions from a distance. He put his physical body on the line, marching on Washington for civil rights in 1963, and also vocally opposed the Vietnam War. That vocal opposition generated intense political friction. In 1973, it was revealed that he ranked 19th on President Richard Nixon's Master Enemies list, a designation Newman proudly claimed was his greatest single accomplishment. But activism eventually gave way to infrastructure. In 1982, he and a friend bottled his homemade salad dressing, launching a company called Newman's Own. This diagram illustrates how their business model worked. Instead of capturing corporate profits and retaining them for shareholders, the company was legally structured so that 100% of post-tax profits and royalties bypassed the owners entirely and flowed directly to charitable causes. This map displays the direct human output of that financial engine. The profits funded the SeriousFun Children's Network, building a global system of specialized summer camps for children with severe illnesses across the United States, Europe, and Israel. He engineered a self-sustaining financial machine that successfully converted ordinary trips to the grocery store into hundreds of millions of dollars of permanent, ongoing social impact. Paul Newman achieved the absolute highest levels of success in cinema, professional motorsports, and global philanthropy. He lived 3 world-class lives simultaneously because he flatly refused to treat celebrity as a final destination. And amidst the chaos of those 3 lives, he maintained a quiet, private foundation. In an industry notoriously famous for rapid divorces, his marriage to actress Joanne Woodward lasted for 50 years until his death. The metrics of his legacy are staggering. He was officially inducted into the Motorsports Hall of America, and as of 2021, Newman's own has generated over $570 million for charity. He possessed a relentless momentum, an almost biological inability to remain stagnant or get comfortable with his own success. Paul Newman spent his career playing rebels and heroes on the silver screen, but in the end, he engineered a life so fiercely authentic and brutally disciplined that his fictional characters pale in comparison to the man himself.